Factors that limit the process of photosynthesis. Now, a limiting factor is any factor that prevents or limits the increase in the rate of a reaction when all the other factors are at optimum levels. Photosynthesis, like many other processes, are affected by several factors, and when any one of these factors is at its lowest level, then it's going to limit the rate at which photosynthesis will be taking place. In photosynthesis, light intensity, carbon dioxide concentration, and temperature interact in influencing the rate of photosynthesis at any one given time. So these three factors are very, very critical in determining the rate of photosynthesis. Now, for example, if any of these factors is increasing at any one particular time, then the rate of photosynthesis will also increase until a certain point, then begin to level off. For example, increasing carbon dioxide concentration at a constant temperature of 25 degrees C will increase the rate of photosynthesis at optimum light intensity. For example, if in this graph here, as you increase the light intensity, the rate is going to level off at this optimum. So let's call this is the optimum light. That is the optimum light intensity. Now, at 0.03% carbon dioxide, the fastest rate of photosynthesis is attained at that point. Now, if we increase the CO2 concentration from 0.03 to 0.1%, because remember, in the atmosphere, the normal concentration of CO2 is about 0.04%. Now, if we increase it from 0.03 to 0.1, then the rate of photosynthesis at this optimum light intensity rises, so that we have a higher rate of photosynthesis. So at a constant temperature of 25 degrees C, if we vary the CO2 level, if we increase the CO2 level, as long as light intensity is not limiting, that is, the light intensity is at its optimum, then we expect the rate of photosynthesis to also increase, because at 0.03% and with light intensity at its optimum and temperature at 25 degrees C, then this low 0.03% carbon dioxide will limit the rate of photosynthesis to this point here. So the only way to increase the rate of photosynthesis under such conditions is to increase the CO2 level from 0.03 to 0.1%. Similarly, if the temperature were to be raised, in the same setup, we were to raise the temperature from 25 degrees C to 30, the rate of photosynthesis will also be higher. You can illustrate this in the graph. Now here, for comparison, this was the rate of photosynthesis, that is in curve 1, at optimum. Okay, and this is our optimum light intensity. Optimum is that point when the level flattens off. Now, for comparison, when the temperatures were 20 degrees C and the CO2 level was at 0.03%, this is the fastest rate of photosynthesis attained. If we increased the CO2 level and also increase the temperature, then the rate of photosynthesis increases substantially to this point. And if you are to increase the CO2 level further, but at the same temperature, the rate will also increase to a higher point. So you can say that in curve 2, the temperature is not limiting, but compared to curve 1, the temperature being higher, it produces a higher rate of photosynthesis. CO2 level is also higher, so this will together contribute to a higher rate of photosynthesis. Now in curve 3, when the CO2 is increased further from 0.01 to 0.1 and the temperature is constant, the rate will also increase. So we can see that by increasing the level of the factor that is at its lowest point, we will influence the photosynthesis process by also increasing its rate. So remember, photosynthesis requires optimum level of the factors that are involved in the process. That factor, which is at its lowest point, will be limiting the process. So the only way to increase the rate of photosynthesis at any one given time is to increase the level of that factor whose magnitude is at its lowest point. Like in this particular case, in curve 1, you can see the rate is limited because of the low carbon dioxide and relatively low temperature. By increasing the temperature and also increasing the CO2, the rate increases substantially in curve 2. In curve 3, by increasing the CO2 level, the rate will also increase substantially. Now from this we can project and conclude that if you were to increase, say if you were to increase the temperature slightly higher to say 35 degrees C, then we would expect the graph to increase and reach the optimum level at a higher point, because the higher temperature will activate the enzymes more, and the process, especially the dark stage reaction, will proceed faster. But of course there's a limit as to how high we can increase the temperature, because beyond 35 then the temperatures will be too high and enzymes that drive the dark stage reactions, that is the carbon dioxide fixation, would be denatured. So there's a limit to which we can increase the temperature. Also there's a limit to which you can increase the carbon dioxide, because under natural conditions the levels of CO2 in the atmosphere is normally fairly low, and if we increase the levels to too high, again it's going to have negative effect on the environment. For example, high CO2 level in the atmosphere may lead to a greenhouse effect, that is retention of heat in the atmosphere, producing devastating effects in the environment, in the climatic conditions, and generally negatively affecting living organisms. But as a rule, under normal conditions, if we increase the factor that is at its lowest level, then we'll also increase the rate of photosynthesis.